Hey guys! Because my high school horror stories seemed to do so well and people were kind of surprised of my high school stories, I thought, well, I have work horror stories too that I think would be interesting to talk about. Because, for those of you guys who don't know, I should probably do a little explanation real quick. When I was in high school, I was dumb. I was dumb. Yeah, I had those really bad teachers, but at the same time, a lot of stuff happened to me freshman year. Freshman year, for those of you in like other countries, is like your first year of high school or your first year of finishing school. I think it's called finishing school or secondary school. You're like 14. You're young. So, I was going through a lot of shit. A lot of shit that was pretty serious. Police were involved and stuff like that. That'll be a video for another time, maybe. But I kind of gave up on school. I didn't see a point to it, and that was when I didn't realize that, because at the time, because of the whole No Child Left Behind Act, I thought, well, it's high school, they have to pass you along even if you fuck up. So I realized right away that's not how it is, so I kind of fucked myself over. So even though I had bad teachers throughout high school, when I was working through high school, I was like, oh shit, I have to graduate. So college and all that other stuff was kind of a forethought. And then, as you've seen, like my Why I Dropped Out video, college didn't work out too well for me at the time either. I'm not saying all college is bad, but for that college and for me, it was pretty fucking bad. So, I just want to get that little explanation there. So when I graduated high school, because I did graduate and I graduated with my class, I was in a bit of a rut. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life because all my other friends were going off to college or getting jobs or moving away. And here I was just like, oh shit, I graduated. Yay, I graduated. I'm so proud of myself. The fuck am I gonna do now? That was literally me. I was so fucking confused and I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I didn't want, because I've always been this kind of person. At the time, I knew I couldn't make it off of commissions at the time, or my art, because I wasn't even, my commissions were so fucking low back then. I'm not downgrading it, because my skill level was really fucking low, so it's like, at the time, it made sense to me. But I was like, oh, okay, here's like, I'll get like $5 a week. You can't do anything, really, as an adult with $5 a fucking week. Now, if you have secondary income, that $5 a week, can get you a fucking Starbucks or something, but that's the story for another day. So I had a friend, a friend's parent who really, really liked me, and she was a teacher. And she got me a teaching aide position right out of high school, working as her teacher's aide. It was my first real job, and it was great. It was working with little kids. You guys might not believe it from how I talk and how I act and stuff, but I'm actually really good with little kids, and I love working with kids. So when she offered it to me to become a kindergarten teacher's aide, originally, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be so fun. I'm going to love it. Yeah, that was a rude awakening. And a lot of my friends would be like, oh my god, how do you have the patience for those little shits and everything? And my eyes really opened in this time period. In the period I was a teacher's aide, my eyes really... I grew a lot, I guess you could say, because I realized, I was kind of like that. I was 18, I was young, I was naive, I was stupid. And, oh, Sean, I'm 18 and I'm living on my own. I'm not naive and stupid. Well, good for you. Some people mature faster than others. But I will admit, this was a real eye-opener for me because I was on that same standpoint of, even though I liked being around kids and I liked babysitting, I liked helping out kids and, parents and stuff, I always thought the same thing. I'm like, oh god, I could never be a teacher. Kids are such little shits, such brats and everything. And then I became a kindergarten teacher's aide, and I saw that wasn't the case. I saw that these kids were good kids, and I was teacher for 2 years, okay? I'm not saying all the kids were good. Some of them were brats. But they all had valid reason to be brats. They weren't like, when you see like those like kiddie movies where there's the bully just because they're a bully and all that crap. What they say really is true. It does go down to how they're being fucking raised, and this really bothers me, so I'm gonna be probably cursing a lot. Because this is something that really makes me fucking upset. It was kindergarten, alright? So for those of you guys who don't know, kindergarten in the US isn't even like a full school day. I don't know what it's like in other countries and stuff, but for like it's honestly half of a school day, because we had 2 classes, is when you have a student, when you have your kindergarten class. So, it would be, maybe 3 hours? Yeah, like maybe 3 hours, not including their recess or lunch, depending on the class. You had a morning class and an afternoon class. And there were about 20 or so kids in each class, so that was a lot of kids. And I will admit, since I'm pretty bad with names, this was new for me. But the kids warmed up fast, I got to know them real quick. But the thing that fucking set me off, I never once had problems with kids. I never once in the 2 years I was having a teacher's aide, I was being a teacher's aide, did I ever have a shitty student. We had kids who were disruptive, we had kids who were behind, we had kids who were loud, we had kids who didn't want to do their work, but they weren't assholes. They weren't doing it on purpose. There was this one kid who, this is when it really broke my heart. It was my first year, and I can't say his name. I'll call him like Luca. I'll call him Luca. And when Luca came to our class, he was older than everyone else. He was about 7, which is really fucking old to be in kindergarten. And, unless you're held back in kindergarten, which does happen. But no, he was 7. He came in the middle of the year. And because his parents didn't realize, oh, well, I have to put them into kindergarten now if they want to be in first grade. This kid, we honestly thought he had some sort of learning disability because he didn't know the ABCs, he didn't know colors, he didn't know his name, he didn't know a lot of things that were really weird. But then we realized, because we had him tested, no, he was perfectly fine. His parents just neglected him. He wasn't even like a TV kid or a video game kid or a YouTube kid. For those of you who don't know, it's parents who just put on a thing to let their kid shut up for like an hour or two so they can do their own thing. The TV or the computer or the games teach the kid. And a lot of people are probably gonna get mad like, that's not real. It is fucking real. I've seen it. I've had friends who have kids who fucking do it, and it makes me really upset. But it's real. It is fucking real. And it's an excuse to not be a good parent. I'm sorry. Just right there. If you want to do it every now and then and you have kids and I'm pissing you off, that's fine. I don't find anything wrong with doing it every now and then, like moderation, but I've seen people literally do it all the time, 24/7, because they can't stand their kids. So, sorry, that tangent is... I'm gonna get a lot here with the teacher's aide stuff, because this really does fucking bother me. So it might probably be a long-ish video. I'm sorry in advance if that's gonna bother you guys, but... hey, it's my life, it's a story time, and what I've experienced. So, we found out this kid's parents just didn't care. Didn't care. He openly told us that he didn't care, and not in his words, because he didn't know any different. We would ask him, like, oh, who checks your homework? Oh, no one checks my homework. Oh, well, who helps you, make breakfast and lunch and stuff? No one does. Like, literally, and I remember we were asking him because we were really concerned, for this poor kid, and he wasn't, like, malnourished or anything. He was a healthy kid, but there was no stimulation. There was nothing there. He didn't, like I said, he wasn't even allowed to watch TV. He didn't have toys at home. He told us that he would literally stay at home because he wasn't allowed to play outside for some fucking reason, because his words were, Mommy and Daddy like being on Facebook and playing with their friends more than they like playing with me. And this is coming from a fucking 7th grader named Luca, and that really fucking broke my heart. And I met his parents too. It's a fucking funny story. So I was still me. I was still lazy goth me, even when I worked there. So I didn't look like a teacher's aide, okay? And my kids didn't care. My boss didn't care. It was fine. I remember because one time I was wearing a Not Scary Farm hoodie, which is like a spooky hoodie, and the kids thought it was cool. Well, it's a cool hoodie. I love that hoodie. And I remember I was sitting waiting for my ride, because at the time I didn't have a car. So I was waiting for my ride. I was sitting at the bench. I was doing something. I think I was drawing. And I overheard Luca talking with someone who I had never met before. And I looked back, and I saw him with this older woman, which I assumed was his grandmother, because on his paperwork, his parents lived with his grandmother because they didn't work. Shocker there. And so he was like begging and crying, and not in the bratty way, like just he was really heartbroken because at my school, we had a little playground area out front. We had a little park. And all he wanted to do was play with his friends. And he was begging. He's like, I remember him because this broke my fucking heart. Was this poor kid was like crying and begging, like, please, I never get to play with my friends. I just want to play with my friends. It's right here. It's right here. Please, please, Grandma, please. Like, he was begging just to play with his friends while they were waiting to get picked up. Because also, like, there was an apartment complex right next to my school, so a lot of kids came from the apartment complex. And his grandmother was cursing at him, and pulling him hard. And when I saw this, I turned around, and he saw me, and his face lit up, and he ran up to me, he's like, oh, Mrs. Porter, and he gave me a big hug. He's like, I didn't know you were here. You were playing, and he, like, wiped his tears away, and I, like, looked at the grandma, and the grandma looked at me, with like the most like awestruck face because again, like I said, I dress the way I dress, so I probably look like just some fucking teenager picking up their like brother or sister or something. It's like, he called you Mrs. Porter. You work here? And I'm like, yeah, I'm his teacher's aide. Like a fucking dime, she switched her personality so fucking quick, and she's like, okay, come on, Luca, we gotta go home. Like, I know you really want to play, but you gotta, we can play at home. And I was so fucking mad. And even he was fucking confused. The poor kid looked so confused, like, this change in his grandmother. And I remember I told my boss, and it was because of that kind of shit, that we actually called Child Protective Services on him. Because, even though he wasn't, like, to me, neglect is fucking abuse, okay? This poor kid didn't have any stimulation at home, and it didn't matter. Needless to say, CPS came back to us and said, oh no, the grandparents have good jobs and there's food in the house, so it's not abuse. Like, that's literally what they fucking told us to our faces, was, there's food in the house and the parents have good jobs, so it's not abuse. And, yeah, that really, really fucking upset me, because I felt like this poor kid... Because the reason why it also upset me was he was so far behind, and because of rules in America, there's something called the No Child Left Behind Act, like I was talking about in the beginning. And, as a high schooler, you don't think much of it, but this poor kid couldn't be held back, even though he needed to be. He didn't understand anything. We were doing our best, but we also had other students we had to work with. We couldn't put all of our time in him. And his parents sure as fuck didn't want to. I remember we went out of our way to make him a special packet to go home with him, over the winter break. And all we asked was, make sure your parents help you with this, so it would help him. Never got done. He even told us that he tried to do it himself. The poor kid tried to do the packet himself, but he couldn't because his parents didn't care. They didn't want to. He told us his mom and dad went on vacation, so he stayed with grandma and grandpa, and yeah. So grandma didn't want to do anything. So, yeah, that made me really fucking upset. There was that. There was, okay, this is a big one. It's going to show up later in the video, which I might have to put into two parters, because I'm already at fucking 12 minutes. But, because of the area my school was in, we didn't have a lot of rich kids. There were some, but most of the kids were from low-income houses. No big deal. But I remember there was this one student, I'll call her Molly, okay? Molly's mom worked 3 jobs, had to take care of their grandparents, and had to take care of a family of 3, all on her own. And Molly's mom, taking care of this entire family, working that many jobs, they didn't have a lot of money. And it was Molly's birthday, and her mom came to us and asked us, and this woman was so upset. She told us, I can't even afford to get my daughter a birthday cake. So, on her birthday, can you not acknowledge it's her birthday until a little later when I can get her a cake? And I had never experienced something like this before. I had friends who didn't have a lot of money in high school and in middle school and in elementary school and stuff. But I never had anything like that. I had never had anything so heartbreaking. This poor mom who worked so hard couldn't get her 5-year-old daughter a birthday cake. Forget gifts. She couldn't even get her daughter a birthday cake. And I wasn't the only one who was upset by this. And we're not even blaming the mom, because she's doing all she could. So, all of us teachers, and the kindergarten teachers, and my other teacher's aide, we all pitched in to get Molly a teddy bear. Okay? And this wasn't like a big-ass teddy bear. This was like you go to Target and you get a $5 teddy bear. Like, we all pitched in $1. It really wasn't that much. But it was the thought that this poor girl is going to go home on her birthday, and she's going to see her mom so tired from working her jobs, and her brothers and sisters taking care of the grandparents as well as her, and not have anything to show for her birthday. So we got her this teddy bear. And we gave it to her. We asked her to stay after class, so that, we didn't, do it in front of the whole class. And we gave her the teddy bear. And this little girl, her face lit up. She was so happy. And I'd never been so moved before. Sorry, I'm getting emotional about it again. She gave us all a big hug. And I never realized until that moment how hard it is for some people. It never really clicked with me, because I've had friends who have been homeless. I have had friends who've had a lot of shit happen to them. But actually seeing it, it really upset me. Because this is a family that didn't deserve it. You know what I mean? And you might be like, Michelle, why is this a horror story? I'm going to tell you in a minute, alright? So we gave her the teddy bear. Everything was fine and dandy. Everything was wonderful. She gave us all a hug. She even made us a little card afterwards. It was very, very sweet and very emotional. I remember, and I went home, and I just fucking bawled my eyes out, because I could never, I never had that as a kid. You know what I mean? I never had my parents working so hard, and we didn't have enough money to even have a birthday cake for my birthday, you know? And I felt so moved and so happy that we were able to give this child such joy and such happiness on her birthday. So, I go into work the next day. This is where the horror story comes in. And it was after school. All the kids had gone home. I was doing paper. I was grading papers, and my boss was, I think she was planning for the next day. And this mom came in. This mom who we had never met before. I know I had never met her before, because she was very, and this is going to sound pretty mean, but she was very well dressed. She had like a very nice pantsuit on. Her nails were done. Her makeup, her hair was done. Like, she was very, I know it sounds really mean, but like I said, our area didn't have parents who really looked like that. Like, when we had parents come in, they kind of looked like me. They just came in like jeans and a t-shirt and stuff. She came in with this other student of ours. I'll call him Liam. Okay, Liam came in. And he looked confused, like, because, the lady was holding his hand. And keep in mind, like, we had met parents and stuff before. I had never seen this woman before. So she comes in, she's like, hey, I'm Liam's mom. And we're like, oh, okay, hi, nice to meet you, And she tells Liam to go play outside by the playground. And she comes in and she just sits down next to us. And we're like, no, okay, is everything okay? Like, we were, like, is something happening? Are you moving? Because we had a parent do that where, like, they were moving, so they came and talked to us personally. No, she, so it turns out that, some other kids saw us give, or she showed her friends the bear when we let her, go play with her friends after school. And so Leanne's mom comes in. I don't even remember her fucking name, so I'm not even gonna give her a name. And she sits down, and she looks at us, and she's like, so I heard that my money paid for a student's gift. And we were both like, me and my boss and my other teacher's aide friend were very, very fucking confused here. We were like, excuse me? She's like, I heard that you got so-and-so a teddy bear. Where's my son's birthday gift? His birthday's coming up, so you're gonna buy my son a gift? And we're like, and, my boss was there, so my boss, which was the teacher, explained, listen, this is a very different kind of circumstance. And I was in shock. I was like, my mouth was open, my teacher's aide friend was fucking also shocked, and we just look at this woman like, is this really happening right now? Is this woman really saying that because we pitched in and bought this poor girl a fucking teddy bear for her birthday, she ended up buying, so it got worse, because she went off on a tangent, and if you're a teacher and a teacher's aide and you're working for the public, you can't really say shit back, you kind of sit back and take it. So, she was going on and on about how, well, this is a public school, so my money paid for that teddy bear, because my money pays your salaries. My money, my taxes, and my husband's taxes pay for that, so where's my son's present? My son's gonna get a present, right? Because if not, I'll take it up to the school board. And, again, we were shocked beyond belief. And also, for those of you who don't know, when you're a teacher, or a teacher's aide, there's kind of like a little paperwork thing you go through where you see, like, parents and like, you have to have your parents' job written down there if they're on welfare or something. So we already knew how much this family made, and they had no right, I'll just leave it at that, they had no right to say this. Alright? They were very much well off. And she just went off on this tirade about how, like, you shouldn't have done that, that's so unconstitutional, that we went out of our way to spend our hard-earned money that we did for working to give this girl a cheap but very caring fucking teddy bear. and she was threatening to get us all fired for something like showing favorites of the students. I had never seen such a more selfish, more evil person. And I say this because Liam, he was a pretty bad student. And not because he didn't know what he was doing, but because he also came from a home where his parents didn't really want to play with him and let him have fun. So he liked talking with his friends, playing with his friends, overdoing work, because holy crap, he has stimulation in his brain that he gets to actually hang out with other kids his fucking age and not stay at home. And I bring this up because Liam's nanny came to parent-teacher night. Not his mom, not his dad, not even for the parent-teacher conference things. It was his fucking nanny. That's why I was surprised to see the mom, because I didn't know that the nanny was the nanny until she said she was. Oh yeah, I'm Liam's stay-at-home nanny. And I'm like, what the fuck? And again, we couldn't say anything. Because we all would have lost our jobs. But she went to the principal and to the district about this. And my principal and our district head advisor and everything and our superintendent was like, no. If they want to, on their own time, spend their money and get a gift for a student, that's on them. And she tried to, sue the school for misrepresentation of taxpayer dollars or some bullshit. All because we bought a poor girl a teddy bear for her birthday. Yeah. And that really, really fucking woke me up to, some cruelty in this world. And I've never been able to get it out of my head, and I probably never will, because it was just such a tragic eye-opener of how some people actually think. I had honestly thought that those sort of people were, exaggerations, were myth, you know what I mean? I really didn't believe they were real, let alone I would ever fucking see one. So, that's probably the absolute worst thing that happened, but I do have a couple of other ones that happened, when I was there, mostly, again, fucking neglect, but the biggest one after that was, we had a field trip, this is around Halloween, where all the classes were going to go to the pumpkin patch. I don't know what's in other countries or other states, but in kindergarten, that's always kind of the kids' first field trip is a trip to the pumpkin patch, and they get to pick, a 99-cent little tiny pumpkin, they get to have fun, it's just a fun little day. Well, we told the parents nonstop when the pickup day was and when it was supposed to be. Everything was fine. A couple of kids didn't show up, which, no big surprise, that happens. Sometimes kids get sick, And we told all of them, nonstop, and we sent all these things home, and we did all this and that, and we even called the parents and left voicemails, okay? That's why I'm bringing this up, because it fucking bothers me. So we pull up, the buses come back, and we're I think all the kids had a fun day at school, and there's this other student, what's his name? I don't know his name, I don't know how to think of a fake name. I'll call him Jose. Okay, so Jose was there, and he was really confused, and he was crying, and he was looking around, and we were, shocked that he was fucking there, and, the teachers went out to him and was like, Jose, what are you doing here? Why are you here now? And he's like, my mommy's dropped me off to go pumpkin patch, and we were like, you fucking kidding me right now? Because school was out, okay, kindergarten school was out. Normal school wasn't out, but kindergarten was fucking out, the kids were going fucking home. And we were just kind of shocked. We were and he's crying, and he sees how all of his friends, this hurt me, okay? All of his fucking friends in our class came up to him with their pumpkins, and they were all like, Jose, where were you? Jose, we missed you. And again, I had to sit back and be like, how could you do this to your kid? How could you as the parent, do this to your kid? You knew when it was. You knew the times it was. And you knew that school was getting out when you dropped your fucking kid off. And you didn't even walk Jose to, the office, I guess. When, kids came in late, usually the parents would take him into the office, and they'd check him in, and we'd know that. No, his moms literally dropped him off at the front of the school, and then just drove off. They fucking dropped off a kindergartner, didn't even walk him into the classroom, or walk him into the office. And because he was wandering around. That's how we fucking found him, was he was wandering around the front of the school. We don't know how long, we're hoping not long. But we had to take him inside the office, and he was so sad, and the students were so sweet. They all offered to give him their pumpkin. Like, all of them were like, here, you can take our pumpkins. Like, you couldn't go to the pumpkin patch. And he started bawling, and he was so upset. Rightly so. I mean, I would be too. So we take him in to the office, and the principal sees him, and the principal's fucking pissed off, because the principal's like, why was he left outside? Why didn't his parents bring him in? So the principal called his moms, and one of them picks up saying, like, oh, well, we didn't want to wake up early. That was the reason. They did not want to wake up fucking early, because he was in the later class to take him to the pumpkin patch. Yeah. And keep in mind, they already paid for the field trip, like, because you had to pay for the field trip. It wasn't much, it was like $10. But still, they paid for the field trip, they signed the slip, they knew the times, but they didn't want to wake up. They want to wake up early to take their kid to drop their kid off at school. And they're like, oh, well, we're not going to pick him up till marble time anyway, so he'll have to stay there. And so the principal was pissed off, but the principal, again, working in the public, can't really say anything. So the principal had to have him sit in the office all day until after school, because after school we had, like, programs for, like, after school kid daycare kind of thing. But they didn't have it, from that time. It wasn't going to start. So this poor kid had to sit in the office with nothing to do for like 3-4 hours until his parents decided to pick him up. And you might be asking, well, if you loved being a teacher's aide so much, Michelle, why'd you leave? Budget cuts. Honest to God, like, budget cuts are fucking real. And my kindergarten in my school didn't need 2 kindergarten teachers. And now I feel really bad for the current teacher's aide, because it is 1 teacher's aide for 5 kindergarten classes. I had 1, and it was hard. I have no idea how that's even possible to do fucking 5. And that's all the classes. So that's realistically 10 classes, not just 5. There's like 5 teachers, but 10 classes. So that's what happened with that. My next couple stories aren't as long and wordy. My teacher's aide ones were the ones that, like, really fucking upset me and really stuck with me. So that's why that became a thing. But after that, I started working at a supermarket. I won't say which one. The supermarket this time, again, it was funny. I didn't have bad clients. I worked the supermarket for about 3-4 months. And I really liked it. I liked the work. I loved our customers. But the employees I worked with were really bad. For those of you who don't know, again, supermarkets in the U.S., most supermarkets are are union. And when they're union, that means that, you get special perks for being in union. You can't get fired as easily. No. It's not saying you won't get fired, but it's not as easily to get fired like in a normal job. Well, I learned right away that my main manager, my hiring manager, or my GM, whatever you want to fucking call him, didn't keep anybody past their probation period unless they had a kid. Because I noticed when I was working there, the only people who were there around my age were all the people who were hired with me. And people were like, oh, it's a high turnaround rate, you can't handle the work. I could handle the work fine. I was able to easily handle the work. What I couldn't handle was, I had my first workplace injury, and a very nice customer actually saw it happen, and they helped me get back into the store. What happened was, because my main manager liked to break the rules, I had to push 12 shopping carts into the store at a time, and in the handbook, you're only allowed to push, like, 6 max, so you don't fuck up your back, and it permanently fucked up my back. I was only working there for 4 months, and it permanently fucked up my back, because 4 or 5 times a week, because I was working part-time, I would have to push in 12 to 14 carts by myself in the summer heat, and then go bag groceries. And again, the work wasn't hard, but I remember asking, like, can someone come out there and help me? Can we have, like, a pulley thing? Because you're supposed to also have a pulley thing if you pull more than 6. No, other people do it, so you can do it. And I remember it was in the summer, it was like 110, because it gets fucking blazing in California. I was pushing a cart, and I don't know, I guess I stepped wrong, something fucking happened, and I had the worst pain I've ever had shoot through my heel of my foot. I fucking screamed, I fell on the hot concrete, and I was, like, holding my foot, and I didn't know what happened. I thought I had, like, stepped on something fucking sharp, and it just ripped through my heel. And a customer saw this, and he ran up, and he helped me up, and helped me into the store, and my manager looked at me, and gave me the most pissed off stink eye, and he, like, helped me sit down, and he was like, oh my god, is she okay? And, like, the customer was fucking pissed off, because he saw all the carts I was pushing. And keep in mind, it wasn't just me, like, everyone had to push that many carts, so we'd had customers complain before, when other people, like, why is it one person pushing, like, 15 carts outside in this heat? Shouldn't you have 2 people doing this? And my manager was going to blow it off. So, turns out what happened was I had a bone spur. And for those of you who don't know what it is, it's when you just Google bone spur, okay? It really, really fucking hurts. So I had to fill out a workplace injury. My supermarket got investigated because they're like, why is this person pushing this many carts? Why are all these people pushing this many carts? And the manager lied. I remember the manager came up to us and keep in mind, this was my second job, and I was still pretty young. I was like maybe 20, maybe. I say that now. I'm like 20. I'm turning 25 this year, but whatever. I felt fucking young. Yeah, because I was a teacher's aide for about 2 years. I was like 20, 21, around that range. And they told us, like, okay, while they're investigating, push 6 carts. Make sure everyone pushes 6 carts. I don't care if the parking lot's full, just push 6 carts. And we were all, like, the people who I was hired with were kind of like, the fuck? So you know this is illegal, and you're making us do it. And so we tried filing complaints with the union, but for some reason, all the people I was hired with, none of our union checks went through. I sent in 4 checks. My coworker sent in 6. Never once got charged, never once got through, and we never understood why. I've had other friends work in supermarkets, and I found out why later on. My manager wasn't going to keep us because none of us had kids. Must be like, well, that's a really oddly thing. Well, because the only other people who stayed who were there when I was still working there were kids around my age, and they all had kids. And these were terrible fucking employees. Like, terrible fucking employees. It had nothing to do with them having kids. They were just terrible people. I remember one of them came in. She was a girl. I don't even remember her fucking name. But she came in, and she was hungover. Like, badly hungover. Hickeys all over her neck. And she turned on her light for her little station. And just laid her head down. And I remember I walked up to her and I'm like, are you okay? Like, do you need to go home? She's like, no, I need the money. And I'm in the union, so they can't fire me. And so she just kind of laid there, like, all day for her entire shift. Another manager saw it and we're, like, kind of pissed off because supermarkets have multiple managers, but the main manager is, like, God, so the main manager decides everything. And they were like, you need to go home. And she's like, no, I need the money, so I'm going to stay. And I remember, again, this is kind of, like, another eye-opening thing for me because I'd be like, I remember thinking, like, oh, crap, I'm working in this kind of industry. I gotta treat people better. I gotta, now I understand what it's like. And then I see people like her where I'm like, no, see, you're the reason why people don't like us. You're the reason why people are assholes, is people like you. And we had another girl, I'll call her, like, Abigail, because I don't remember her fucking name, but I'll call her Abigail. And she was also there, also a mom. And I remember she was, like, really, really sick one day. Really sick. Like, I remember because she would go every 10 minutes, go outside the store to fucking spit phlegm, and customers saw it, and customers complained. But she was in the union, so they couldn't fire her. Even our fucking, like, main manager, the hiring one, told us that. And we were all like, this bitch is sick at a supermarket. Is the $40, because I was making like $40 a day, okay? That was about it, because she was also part-time with me. I know for a fact. So I'm like, is the $40 really worth it? Like, fuck, I'll give her $40. I'll give her my day's pay. She needs to get out of here because she's disgustingly sick. She's handling people's food. People are complaining. And she's going outside the store to spit. There's got to be like 5 health code violations right there. Oh, well, no. When you're in the union, you'll understand. And I'm like, no, this doesn't make any fucking sense. And I've had friends work at supermarkets. So I will talk to them about this shit. And they were like, no, that shit don't fly. They need to go. You need to go home. Like, especially for unions, sometimes you even get fucking sick pay. So, like, there was no excuse for her to fucking be there. And some people will be like, oh, Michelle, maybe she really needed the money. You don't know her situation. Well, I know that literally the weekend before, she and her husband ran off to Vegas. So, like, because originally I thought that, like, when I found out about her living situation. But then she and her husband went out to Vegas, and she was gloating how she and her husband spent, like, $12,000 on getting married in Vegas and having a fun old grand time, and how her kids stayed home with her grandma. So it's like, you gotta understand, I go from that to literally a week later, she's sick as a dog. I'd be like, no, I need the money. And I'm like, bitch, you just spent like $12,000 in Vegas. You clearly don't need the money that bad. Maybe I'm an asshole for thinking that, but it's like, you probably shouldn't tell people, oh, me and my husband had this great, wonderful adventure, and, and you're like, oh, well, maybe she saved up for it. I highly doubt it, because she and her husband have only been together for, like, less than a year. I don't know their situation, but to me, shit didn't add up, and that's, like, one of my biggest things, is when shit doesn't fucking add up. So, there's that. This is getting to a long video. And that was just about it until I remember the main manager. The reason why I quit was the main manager pulled me outside of the store, pulled me away from camera views, and I should have known something was fishy when she pulled me out of the store and away from the cameras. But she pretty much told me, this is right around like towards when I was going to quit. She told me that I wasn't allowed to drink water in the 100 plus degree heat. When in the handbook, if you are doing carts in that heat, you're allowed to have water. I wasn't allowed to drink water. If I'm caught drinking water, I'll be fired. And this was outside, not like inside. Obviously, inside that makes fucking sense. But outside, no. If I'm caught drinking water, I will be fired. I didn't improve at all working there, which isn't true because my other managers said I had improved a shit ton, and they were even going to suggest I become a cashier once my probation was up. So there was that. How I'm not cut out for this line of work, and that customers complain about me when I have had customers personally come up to me and ask me to unload their carts and to help them and to serve them. So again, a lot of shit didn't add up. I'm not saying I was perfect. No one's fucking the perfect employee, but shit didn't fucking add up to me. And when she told me that with a straight face, and I asked her, I'm like, I really haven't improved? And she's like, yeah, you're not gonna make it. So in my mind, I'm like, you know what, fuck it. She's gonna fire me, so I might as well quit myself. So I put in my 2 weeks. I remember, like, the next day I came in for my shift. After my shift, I wasn't one of those assholes that just fucking left. I went into her office, and I was like, hey, I'd like to put in my 2 weeks. And she's like, okay, bye. And I was very confused, because I was like, again, I was like, oh, because of budget cuts before, so I didn't really have, like, I had a final paycheck and stuff, but I didn't really get a pink slip or anything. Or I had to fill out some paperwork. And she was just, okay, bye. And I was like, that's it? She's like, yeah, just go. And I'm like, there's nothing I can, like, there's paperwork. She's like, no, just get out of here. And so I left, and I spent my last paycheck, and I bought myself a Keurig, and that was the last time I went into that store for, like, 2 years. But that was one horror story. Another one was when I worked at Target, and this one will be quick, but it also fucking bothers me, and it goes back to the teddy bear story a little bit, was I loved working at Target. That's why I don't mind saying its name. I fucking loved working at Target. I was let go because of corporate and seasonal. I wasn't let go because I wasn't a good employee. Corporate messed up, and for some reason, only one person in each section was allowed to stay after the holidays. And I will admit, the person they picked in my section deserved it a lot more than I did, because this bitch slept, ate, drank, and loved fucking working at Target. So, like, when I found out she was the one staying, I'm like, nah, man, you deserve it. You have, like, lived here. You did, like, a triple shift on Black Friday. You deserve to be here. But, I liked working on the register. A lot of people didn't like working on the register. So I was working on the register, and what happened was, Target takes, food stamps and WIC, and you can probably already guess where this is going. I did a little thing beforehand. So I had another kid come up one time with his mom, and she was buying groceries with EBT cards and with a WIC check. WIC is like Women and Children, I think is what it stands for, and it's federal helping. It helps women and children, obviously. It helps mothers or fathers and children who are single parents, who don't have a lot of money, to help them get food. I like WIC a lot more than food stamps because the WIC checks actually have specific food on them. So, like, people are like, oh, it's such a pain to put in a WIC check, and it's not. To me, it's not that much when you're helping someone out who needs it. So I never fucking bothered me if I had a WIC check. So, take the WIC check, and this poor mom, this kid had a Hot Wheel. Now, keep in mind, Hot Wheels are like 99 cents. They're not that expensive. And the mom, sorry, I'm a little sniffly, summer still. The mom was like counting fucking pennies, okay? She looked really upset. She was counting fucking pennies, and she didn't have enough for the kid's Hot Wheel. And she was like, I'm so sorry, you're gonna have to put the Hot Wheel back. And her son looked so upset, but he was like, we don't have enough again. And I felt really fucking bad, because all it was a fucking Hot Wheel. So I pulled out my card, and I bought this kid the Hot Wheel. And she was like, no, you don't have to do that. I don't want a handout. And I'm like, it's no big deal. I have a little brother. I would want someone to do the same to me if I was in your position. And so I bought the kid the Hot Wheel. I bought the kid the 99-cent Hot Wheel, and I told her to keep her change. And I gave the kid the Hot Wheel, and the kid gave me a hug, and the mom, like, talked to my manager, and I overheard her being like, she needs to get a raise, she is such a nice person, and I felt very happy. I felt very happy that I helped this family out. Literally this fucking same day, okay, this is why I bring it up. It was towards the end of my shift, and this, another very nice looking lady comes up, and there's a guy behind her, and it's around the holiday season, so they had, like, she had, like, her little thing, thing of groceries, and then the guy behind her had, like, a TV, a computer, an iPad, just a lot of fucking shit, okay? And so the mom comes up, she's very nicely dressed, and her hair's done again. She had Coach nails. I remember because I even commented on them, like, because it had the Coach, like, logo on it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know they had Coach nails. She's like, I know, it cost me a fortune. It was so nice. And I was like, I just thought they were fucking nice. And everything was fine dandy. I'm scanning her food, and she's like, oh, wait, I have a WIC check. And I'm like, again, it like, took me a double take for a second. And I looked at the check, and I was like, this is a WIC check. And I'm like, can I please see your ID? Because I was very fucking confused. Normally you don't ask this, but I was really fucking confused. And she's like, oh, no problem. So show me her ID. The check was for her, and I was like, this is going to sound really bad, but I kind of thought maybe she's a hooker. I know it sounds really mean, but I was just so fucking confused, because I'm like, that's, okay. So I put the check in, and I scanned her food, and I didn't think much of it until she started talking to the guy behind her. And she was like, oh, you know, make sure that we have so-and-so and so-and-so at home. And I'm looking at the guy, and I'm like, oh, you guys are together? And I'll grant, this is kind of me fishing now. I probably shouldn't have done this, but I didn't get in trouble for it, so whatever. And she's like, oh, yeah, we've been together for, like, 17 years. And I was like, oh, are you guys married? And she'd, like, deadpan gives this big-ass grin on her face. She's like, well, legally, no, but we had a ceremony a few years ago, and we have kids. And I'm like, oh, you're one of those people. I didn't say the last part, but I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, holy fucking shit. You know, I have to have that retail smile on my face, because I am literally like, I would have been giving this lady the most evil look if I could. And I'm like, oh, well, and again, this is me being me. I can't really stop. I was like, oh, well, is everything okay? Like, should you guys be buying this? Again, I probably shouldn't have said that, but I didn't get in trouble for it. And she's like, oh, it doesn't matter. We're not married, so he makes a lot of money. But because we're not married, I get WIC. Isn't that great? And I'm just like, I was screaming so fucking hard. But I had to put the check through. I wasn't allowed to, like, hold it and get my manager, because legally there's nothing wrong with that. And I asked her, I'm like, so what do you mean you're not legally married? When I was fucking bagging her things, because I kind of want to know more about this bitch. And she was like, well, we had a ceremony a few years ago, but if I still want to get government funding, I can't be married legally. So we had, like, a little church wedding, but we never bought a marriage license. And so in spirit we're married, but legally we're not. So isn't that great? We get so much help from the government that way. And then I ring in, you know, McFuckface's order, the guys, and it was over, like, $2,000 worth of shit. And he just deadpan hands me a debit card. He's like, here you go. And I'm like, it's people like you that make me fucking sick. But I can't say that, because I'm in retail, so I just gave him, you know, oh, would you like to buy a red card today? Because Target makes you fucking sell the red cards. So I gave him their receipt, and I'm like, you saved so much money working at shopping at Target today. Have a great day. And I had to, like, I kid you not, like, I turned off my light, and I ran to my manager, and I told her what happened, because I was so fucking upset. And she was like, oh, no, that happens a lot. You just have to get used to it. And I'm like, how? How does this happen a lot? That literally in the same day, I see a mom can't even buy her kid a motherfucking Hot Wheel, and she's fucking trying. But I see a bitch here in Coach nails being able to steal from the government. Like, that's not fucking right, but like I said, it's a rant for another day, but it just, ooh, eye-openers all around the world. And this video is getting really long as it is, so I'll save my commission ones for another video. I'll probably do that when I'm doing, like, commissions, because I want to do a video about commissions, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this Storytimes about my work horror stories. I kept out all the ones when I was working at the fast food joint, because that's its own kind of video, and I didn't see a point to adding it in here. But yeah, those are just certain things that I experienced in my short adult life, because I haven't been an adult that long. Realistically, I said I'm, like, turning 25, so I don't really think I've been an adult that long. But yeah, so maybe that'll help you guys understand a little bit me more, and you guys enjoyed listening. And I hope I don't sound like I'm underwater, because there's no way I can record this or get the audio fixed. So, as always, I will. See you guys next time. Bye!